Go for it.
All right, I'm Jimmy. So just to go over basics, and these in our servo use, there's 2 tank holders in the back. When you see one, there'll be 2 tank holders in the back. This one just has one because we got it. It's our example vent that we were showing with Dr. Sloan upstairs. If we need to hook the oxygen up to these, just like any adapter, you can unscrew it, and our oxygen one will fit under the red cap on the side of the tank. Just make sure the tanks are full before you use the tanks. We will have 2 on the back of the vent. They don't have blenders, they don't have two-way, so if you need change, if it runs out of oxygen, you will have to switch to another tank. Generically, when we plug it in, there's 2 plugs. 1 plug's for the ventilator, 1's for the compressor, and then we have an air hose and an oxygen hose. Most of the ICU floors will have oxygen and air, so we can plug the air in. If we don't have it on one of those floors, we will have to make sure the compressor's plugged in so it can get air pressure when it's delivering. It can blend anything from 100 to 21%, and air will be available on some of the units, but not on all of them. This portion right here is the ventilator portion. This is our compressor. This is where our ventilator batteries are stored. You should not have any issues with them, but we're just showing you. We have a inspiratory filter. We're making sure everyone has an inspiratory filter on. And this is our expiratory filter. This box right here is our expiratory cassette. If we do have a coronavirus patient and we have to leave it in the room, we have to disconnect this and make sure it gets autoclaved downstairs. But for practical purposes, just leave it in the room and let someone handle it. You probably will not have to manage that portion of it. This is a test lung, and this is a HME filter. We're not going to use any of the heated wires. We don't want any of that extra humidity on a coronavirus patient. So again, we will have an HME placed here at this portion of the machine. Make sure these caps are closed. When it's a new circuit, they will come open. When you see the machine, they are all in standby mode. Every single one leave in standby mode. We do not turn them off. There's an off switch in the back. I'm not going to teach you where it is because we leave them all in standby mode. This vent will not automatically start up when you attach it to a patient. You actually have to hit start ventilation. You can hit start here or start here. We have a pre-use check and a patient circuit test. We like to complete them both. If you do have to complete the pre-use check, you need a small piece of tubing so that the machine can test its inner calibrations. The pre-use check takes about 5 minutes. The patient circuit test is a quick 1 or 2 minute test to just check the circuit's compliance. The problem with it is you need one of these checked. If it's a new vent that hasn't been checked, you can't use it on a patient. So both of these will be orange. If you hit the patient circuit check, you can do the patient circuit check relatively easy, just following the prompt on the screen. It'll tell you to disconnect, reconnect, occlude the tube, and that's about it. And it's a very easy patient circuit check. And this will still be orange, but as long as one of those are completed, we can start ventilation on the patient. So in emergency, we'll try to have them both done, but you can just hit the patient circuit check. We have 33 of these in the house. And then we also have some other vents on the 4th floor in open heart. That's a little bit different, but we have 33 of these ones in the house. So on the previous screen, we mostly will have adults, but you can change to adult and pediatric. You can change invasive to non-invasive. Just for our vent lesson, we'll go over invasive. And then you can control all the modes that we have to offer on this machine. In the startup phase, we have pressure control, PRVC, volume control, and bi-level, bi-vent, APRV, whatever you want to call it. And then you have all the SIMVs and all the spontaneous support modes. So generically, I will just hit start ventilation, and the settings will be displayed at the bottom. Or you can go to modes, and you can view the settings and the modes. Here's our silence button. If you press it once, it'll silence the machine. If you have multiple alarms going off, it will not keep it silenced. You have to press and hold it down for 2 seconds, and now it silences all the alarms. So again, to show the modes, if I extend this menu here, it'll show every setting on the patient. If I keep it slow, it'll just show the generic settings. If we're gonna be on for a coronavirus patient, you might be into volume control, lower volumes. So you can click, and this one you can either scroll down, we don't have a roll on this one anymore, or you can hit this bar and it can automatically go lower. If you're going below the expended range on a couple of things, if you hit the plus, it'll extend the range that you can go into. But if I want a person on 300 tidal volume, hit check, now it's delivering 300 tidal volume once I accept this mode. So now we're on volume control mode. So again, you can chill the oxygen, the PEEP, the respiratory rate or the tidal volume, and the inspiratory time. We don't control the flow on this vent. There's some more advanced settings like flow trigger, rise time, and stuff like that, but generically those are our settings, so you really don't need to expand it unless you want to get to the inspiratory time. If you want to see all the settings, you can also go through mode. Go through mode, choose the mode that you're currently on, and it'll show you the settings that you're currently on. In that mode, it'll show you the IDE, the minute, volume, and the flow that the machine will give. So when you are in the mode, multiple different modes, you can also go to the next tab down is alarms. This is when you want to control your range just to make sure that you're not alarming. Right now, this person isn't alarming. Since the hose is not connected, it's not alarming. I have the compressor plugged in this machine, but the compressor is not turned on. The compressor switch is right here. They should be automatically all turned on. So we'll try to keep them all turned on, so you just have to plug it in and you're guaranteed air pressure. So again, the switch is in the back. That's where the compressor turns on. It's right next to where the air inlet goes. So it's just a toggle switch.
All right.
In any of the ICUs, like I said in the beginning, there will be air hose on the wall. Normal, connect, reconnects, just the same as the oxygen. It'll just be the yellow hose adapter.
Then do you also have a waste gas? Like, I don't know how yours wastes.
So we do not have a waste gas. We have an expiratory cassette that collects the gas, and the gases are filtered, and it just goes out the back of the machine, out to room. So there's an expiratory filter, and then there's an expiratory cassette.
Now that's not a HEPA filter, is it?
This is not a HEPA filter.
But you will get one.
We are trying to get HEPA filters for bag mouth ventilation at this time, and we're going to look in that further. This cassette has a very small deposition though. It should probably be able to filter whatever you need out of that.
And then they'll get autoclaved.
And they get autoclaved after the machine's used. Again, when your machine is running, you can auto set the alarms, or you can choose your exact alarms that you want. The auto set gives it a pretty tight range, so you can always go in and adjust the range higher or lower and accept it, just so your machine's not alarming all the time. So again, the modes, the alarms, and the silence button are all right there. Other things, you can advance the screen and get a lot more settings. I don't think we really need to go over that. We're on 60%. We have an O2 boost button. We can give more O2 if we want to hold it. It'll give 2 minutes of O2 at 100%. And then other than that, if you're going to disconnect a patient, we have this button right here. It's disconnect and suction. So if we hit the disconnect and suction button, this mode will automatically pre-oxygenate the patient for up to 2 minutes. Once you disconnect the patient from the machine, it automatically stops blowing. So it won't be spraying on you, just like you can disconnect any other, like with your anesthesia machine. You can either hit manually start ventilation, or once you connect the patient back to the machine, the ventilation should reoccur and you will get a post-oxygenation phase as well for 1 minute.
What's your default if you turn it on?
When we default on these ventilators, they're all in PRVC. So again, in the modes, the default will be on PRVC. It's fine, it's still a pressure mode, pressure regulated volume control. And that's the pressure control mode. That's the PRVC mode, and generically it'll start in that mode with a different tidal volume.
I wonder what we'll use. I guess it doesn't matter.
PRVC is fine, and volume control is probably fine for the Corona, just for ARDS protocol. We want that. A little advanced help with this machine as well. If you want to know the easiest way to calculate for ARDS protocol in this machine, if you actually have the patient's height, you can hit the patient body weight here, or the predicted body weight, or this button right here, and you can enter the patient's gender and their height, and it'll automatically predict the ideal body weight, and that will show you an actually tidal volume over ideal body weight column here. So if you really want to wean to get to that 6 for the 6 or less for the ARDS protocol, we do have that capacity on the machine. Any questions? And